All right, everyone. We're going to go over a quick unit on evolution. And before I even begin, I want to make sure that we understand that what we're studying is science's view on evolution. And a lot of people, this can become a debated topic. And it's really not worth getting that upset over, because what you're going to see is that evolution isn't something like humans came from apes. It's not that simple. We're going to look at things like natural selection and really the way nature just works. So please understand, this is a science and it's a biology class. So it's my job to share with you the views of where or what science believes in terms of evolution, but more importantly, how they believe that animals through generations change and adapt to their surroundings. That's really what we're looking at with evolution. So please understand and come in with an open mind and know that no one is trying to offend anyone's religion or personal views here. It is just simply, this is what science believes. And again, when you start to see, evolution really isn't as charged of a topic as the media likes to make it. Today, I'm going to skip through this fairly quickly because you're not going to have to know very much. We're at the end of our unit here. But it's just important when you see these blue things, if you're looking and you're going through and you see like, oh, look, it says, I'm going to use my little unicorn pointer today. Oh, look, it says, there's a link here. It might be worth watching the video if you'd like, but we're not going to take my YouTube time to do that. All right, so here's the history of the Earth, and this is just an interesting fact. So millions of years this is kind of just shows you the evolution of, or not even the evolution, just what the life on Earth and the steps that have been taken. And if you look here, you have fish. Fish, we believe, were some of the first creatures, eukaryotic organisms. And then we go all the way through, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but here's the dinosaurs. My daughters love the dinosaurs. And then you look over here, and here we are, humans, at the very end of the history of the Earth. So we really haven't been here very long. And I am going to skip through these, but because that is kind of a debated topic, but let's just focus on the now, all right? We're here now. And what we want to know is, how does life survive? Why do some species live and others go extinct? What gives some species an advantage over others? How do organisms change over time? Why is it that the koala, I think about the Australian fires, there's so few of them? Why are the panda bears slowly, their numbers are dwindling? So this is kind of why. Why do some species live and others go extinct? Why is it that some species with the current environment are thriving and multiplying? Okay. What gives species advantages over others? Why do some just seem to do better in certain climates or certain regions, or maybe certain environmental conditions, okay? And then how do organisms change over time? So evolution, this is a definition that's just good to know. It's a slow, gradual change, and it's slow. It happens over generations and generations of a population of organisms over time. And this is showing you these huge tortoises on the Galapagos Islands and the very famous finches and Darwin. If you have a chance, you should watch the video, What Darwin Never Knew, or another one that's just Darwin, the Voyage of the Beagle, and it's very interesting, okay? But this was the Galapagos, and this is really, he came up with this theory of natural selection and evolution. We're going to do a quick history of Darwin here. He went on this voyage. It was 5-year voyage around the world, and he made these observations, and his travels led him to believe that each organism comes from an original, something that it's descended by. And the changes that occur and that we see in species happen over a time. And what he found with the islands is that a lot of these species were derived from common ancestors. So Darwin left England here, and he went around South America, which this isn't always talked about as much. He found a lot on South America because that was the mainland. Then he came to the Galapagos Islands, and what was really cool is these islands broke off from South America, and what he found were species very different than those in South America. He traveled around the globe. He also went to Australia, which is oftentimes overlooked, but he found a lot of great species in Australia that were unique, because remember, Australia broke off early from the continent, and then he came back to Europe, okay? He returned 5 years later. But the Galapagos seem to be the islands that get the attention for his theories. And these islands are super cool. There's a bunch of them, but they're very different. Some of them are really volcanic. Some of them are more like rainforests. Others of them are deserts. So what happens is when these islands broke off, they had similar species, but because their environments are so different, then the species actually changed over time to look very different from one another. Okay, this is another link that just shows you creatures on the Galapagos Islands. And there's some very famous animals that we talk about in evolution, and just they're creatures that are unique to those Galapagos Islands. Here's a few of them. These tortoises are super cool. They're all a little different depending on what island you visit. Some of them will have short necks and long legs. Some of them will have long legs and long necks. Some of them will have short necks and short legs. So they're totally different, okay? You have these penguins, which is the only ones that are north of the equator, but they're right on the equator, so that's where it gets a little confusing. Then you have the iguana. This is the last marine lizard on Earth. So there's a lot of creatures on the Galapagos that are unique to these islands. Here's the waved albatross. This is a fur seal, and it spends almost 70% out of its time out of the water. And here's the very famous Galapagos finches, and what makes them so famous is they're all different depending on the island that they're from, and in the Galapagos Island, that is, and their food source. They've had to adapt.